command.
Oh.
Welcome aboard, YouTube fans. We are here this morning on Jenkinson Reservoir at Sly Park, just below Pollock Pines, up in the high foothills of the Sierra. And it is Tuesday, August 29th, 2023. The time is 3 minutes after 10 a.m. And if you'll look off to the east-northeast, just above the top of that ridge, you can see those peaks shining through the haze. And the sharp one on the right is Pyramid Peak, which overlooks Desolation Valley in the Desolation Wilderness area. And that peak is, I think it's about 15 or 16 feet under 10,000 feet. So it's quite high. And that is the peak that is at the south end of the Crystal Range, which is a sub-range of the Sierra. And Lake Tahoe is just over the top of that ridge, about another 4 miles, 5 miles, something like that. So that gives you some background on where I am. And standing on the dock here are my friends Inge and Donn Nibblett, who were members of my hiking group, Carrying a Good Thing Too Far. And I came up from Petaluma to Sacramento yesterday for an appointment and to pick up a piece of ceramic from a show that was closing. And then I came up to Pollock Pines and stayed overnight with Donn and Inge, and they have been treating me very well. And Inge fed me a root beer float, so it was heaven on earth. And say hi to the YouTube fans.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, fans.
So, Jenkinson Reservoir is at an elevation of about 3,600 feet.
Yes.
Yes.
And is not a large lake. I believe the surface area is 640 acres, which is a square mile. And the plan today, with winds forecast out of the southwest at 6 to 8 miles an hour, I think, something like that. It looks like it's beginning to fill in on the far side of the lake there. So the conditions look like they're going to be perfect for a day. It is warm, but we have nice, clean, clear water, so I can dip my shirt in and dip my hat in. And I got plenty to drink. And so we're off.
All right.
You tied the oar in now?
Let's get organized here so I can cast off.
Do you need us to come back to when you come back in?
No.
No. Okay.
I'm
Then
used to
we'll
doing
see
this
you
all
at
by
the
myself.
house. We'll see you at the house.
As soon as I take out, I'll try and give you a call.
Okay.
And you said you'll be home anyway.
Yeah, we will be there.
All right.
Have a wonderful rowing experience.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Now, let's see. What's the traffic behind me doing? Make sure I'm not going to block any kayaks. And I'm going to dock. The wind is blowing off the ramp here, so that's good. It won't be blowing me up into the concrete. So there we are. See you guys later. In 1998, Donn signed signed up for the summer season of my backpacking group, Carrying the Good Thing Too Far. So he hiked with us for that whole summer, and he enjoyed himself so much that in 1999, when we began our summer program again, he convinced Inge to sign up. So for the 1999 season, they both hiked with us. We start in mid-June and go through the end of August with regular organized scheduled hikes. And since then, they have come back many times. In 2000, we did our first through hike of the Lost Coast from Atoll River south along the beach to Shelter Cove. And they brought their 11-year-old grandson, Eric, along with them. And we had a wonderful trip. I think there were 5 of us on that trip. My friend Mike Arnold came along. And Donn and Inge have lived up here in Pollock Pines for, trying to remember, I think they said 20 years. And they are currently trying to sell their house. They're going to move down to Southern California to live near their daughter, down just below Ventura. And so I'm trying to see them as often as possible before they move down to the Southland, and we're not in close contact anymore. Anyway, so that's the history of my relationship with Donn and Inge. Temperature was supposed to be in the mid-80s today, and the wind is very, very light, and it's quite warm out here already. Driving up from Sacramento, towing the boat up Highway 50. Yesterday there were a couple of times when the water temperature gauge hit 213. I think it was 214 one time for a short time. But my little Scion XB pulled the trailer very well, and I'm glad I was able to get up here and get on this lake, especially after this last winter and the water's up. The drought conditions that we've been experiencing have seriously affected the water level in places I like to go to row. This is lovely. It smells like pines. And since I live down near the ocean, down near sea level and San Francisco Bay, I get up here and it's like coming home again. I lived in the Sierras, South Lake Tahoe, and then down in Pollock Pines for about 4 years back in the early 80s. And before I moved to the Bay Area. And it's always just a delight to get back up here and experience the quiet of the mountains. It's interesting, the wind is coming out of the west. It's coming right down over through those trees, just off our port beam. That hill is steep and goes up. Oh, top of the ridge is up around almost 4,000 feet. So you'd think that that ridge would block the breeze down here on the water, but it's nice and cooling. There are 2 dams here on Jenkinson Reservoir. The guess it would be the westerly dam. You can see off the port quarter there. And then there's a fairly large peninsula that's off over here, off the starboard quarter. And when you go around the corner there's a second dam that goes over to that far shore. And if you have a map of the area, or if you're used to driving up to the Sierras, particularly to Carson Pass, you can come up to Sly Park Road off of Highway 50 in Pollock Pines and turn easterly down the mountain, and at the bottom of the hill there's an intersection just that's almost right astern of us over the hill there, and you can see a pickup truck driving across the dam. That is a road that's called Mormon Immigrant Trail, and I think it goes maybe about 28 miles and intersects the Highway 88 going up to Carson Pass. So it's a good shortcut to take if you're coming from the Sacramento area. This lake is administered and the water is retained for the El Dorado Irrigation District, whose offices are in Placerville on Mosquito Road. And I worked for the EID for 2 years, 1984 to 1986, when I was hired to start a new division in the engineering department, which was making computerized models of their whole water system, which runs from an elevation of a little over 4,000 feet all the way down to about 400 feet above sea level in El Dorado Hills at the Sacramento County line, just above the town of Folsom. And because of my duties in putting together computer models of, I think it's 26 different reservoirs, and all their distribution systems, I spent a lot of my time in pickup truck, just driving around, making an updated notes on their system maps, so that I could enter information into my computer models to accurately parallel the actual workings of the system. And after I got the models made, then I spent most of a year driving around and calibrating the models from actual recorded data at various pumping stations and pressure reducing stations. And it was quite a delight to get be paid to drive around in the mountains like this and just explore. One day in 1994, I believe it was, I was working in Oakland, and I got a notice that the EPA was giving a workshop at UC Berkeley on the tracing of pollutants in water systems, pressure water systems. And even though that job that I had was developing plans for a new 14 acre Kaiser Hospital, site with medical office buildings and all the accoutrements. I told my boss that I wanted to take off a day and take that workshop, and even though it didn't have anything to do with the with our business and the work that I was doing, that I'd take a day off. And he said, nonsense. He said, we'll pay you while you take a class and give me the entry form there. We'll pay your entry fee. So I went to that workshop, and when we took a coffee break, I got up and looked at the sign-in sheet just to see if there were any names that I recognized. And there were 3 people that were from EID. And I looked around and saw a young lady and asked her if she was one of the EID people, and she said she was. And introduced herself, and I introduced myself. And her eyes bugged out when I said, my name is Dennis Hazelwood. She said, you're Dennis Hazelwood? And she ran out into the hall and called the other 2 guys back in and said, Dennis Hazelwood is here. And they came in and we all met. And she said the department now had something like 6 or 7 employees, and they were using my system and my manuals. And I thought that was just an absolute hoot. That was, 10 years later, and it was all up and working. Which amazed me, because when I took that job, I had never worked for a water district before, and I'd never worked on a pressure water system. So it was a learning experience for me. This water is every bit as clear as we had on Lake Berryessa on my last video. The wind has put a little bit of a chop on the water, but the boat is sliding right through. And the wind has also gone 180 degrees. Fortunately, there's enough of it that it's cooling the, I think it's supposed to be 85 or 86 degrees today. So I'm glad for that nice breeze. I particularly wanted to come here on a weekday, so there'd be the least amount of boat traffic from holiday water skiers and such. And while we were launching, one boat came in, and now they're over there towing a skier. And other than that, there was just about a 16-foot aluminum boat that came in with a couple of fishermen. So it's going to be nice not to have to deal with bucking about of all the boat traffic waits. I need to change my GPS setting from a data screen to a map screen. Well, I haven't been here before, and I didn't cache a map, so it's not showing me much. I'm going to turn on my cell phone internet connection in hopes that it will be able to get enough of a signal to update my map for me. Let's see, how do I get to it? Here we go. Bingo. And there's a map showing the whole lake. All right.